Welcome to Nephew and Uncle Basketball Banter, folks. Uncle Dave, we've now seen games three, four, and five since our last show. And I think this series is coming down to Uncle Dave, the Pacers not winning that game four in the fashion they did. If you have a chance to go up 3-1 and you don't get it done, this is what happens here. So I think if Indiana does not win this series, that's what's going to be the memorable game and moment of this series, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, the last 4 minutes of game four.
Yep. Yep.
They didn't go north and south at all. They didn't run any offense. Siakam never touched the ball. Halliburton just dribbled around in a circle. And basically that's what a lot of their offense was last night too, dribbling around in a circle. Really not turning the corner. And I love his flow offense, but you do have to run some plays designed to get you downhill, and they don't do that.
Right. Yeah. The Thunder in this last game here, this game five, very aggressive. And like you said, the team that's taking the ball down aggressively north and south and is not having any wasted motion. Usually those are the teams that wind up getting the W. And that's what happened with the Thunder. Very decisive, I think, offensively. They looked.
Sure. Yeah, they also changed the starting lineup and went back to double big. So we can have maybe Dag now can now admit he was wrong, which
Right.
for some reason the media has not touched this guy. I guess he's got naked pictures like we always talk about, but why he got a pass for being wrong the first three games is beyond me. But he did get a pass, and and the lineup made a difference. Now Chet's playing real minutes, and that's totally this guy played 19 minutes in the first game. Now he's averaging 31 for the series. So
I think
obviously
it was that
makes a
analytics shit,
difference.
I think. They probably thought we
Oh,
can't play both of them on the floor at the same time, Holmgren and
don't you love that
Hartenstein.
bullshit?
Yeah.
Analytics, as I call it, analytics.
I said if that's the metric we're using, then a guy like Zach Randolph couldn't play in the NBA, which we know is total bullshit.
Yeah, and then the bottom line also is how are your analytics the other night when a team won an NBA Finals game making three threes? So take your analytics and shove it up your ass. They don't work.
Right. And I think Uncle
Three
Dave,
threes, three
yes.
threes, and they won a game.
Yeah, I know. How about that, right? We're going back, in time, like 30 years plus, right?
Yep.
But I think also what's going to be remembered in this game five, Uncle Dave, is Tyrese Halliburton is just a no-show in this one. 0 for 6 with four
Yeah.
points. And
Yeah.
so that I think that right there, and they only lose this game five by 11 points. I think if you're an Indiana fan, you're thinking if he just has half of what he normally does, that they win this game. So I think
Well,
you have to own that one on his part.
yeah. Well, the frustrating part is, people are now going to take shots at him, but when you play well, this is what happens. Now you set the bar high, But I have to say the officiating has been awful too. I mean, in game four, Shea travels and pushes off on the same play.
Well, Uncle Dave,
Um,
also people are saying, Scott Foster has been a part of the officiating crew in these NBA finals. So yeah,
sure. Well, yeah. But
those theories
I
will
mean,
run.
again, last night the amount of consistency of contact on one end is not equal to the other. I mean, just unbelievable. Nemhart's got hammered in game four with a key possession and got hammered again last night when Carlisle got the technical foul. I mean, if you're going to allow it on one end, you got to allow it on the other end. I mean, it's just unbelievable. I'm just really disappointed that Indiana has not gone zone here. They're not being able to keep OKC in front of them. Really disappointed that they have not gone zone here. OKC struggled with the zone versus Denver. I just don't understand why they're not taking a look at that.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if anything, even if a team's rolling, you'd want to just maybe change the pace up on them and make them just give them a different look and a wrinkle, and they
Yep.
just have not
Because
done that.
yeah,
Like I said,
yeah.
I don't
Because right now
understand why you're
Williams and
hesitant.
Shea are getting downhill too much and making it too easy. Give them a
Yeah,
different look.
slow them up, and like I said, with the zone, you kind of take the ball out of their hands, make them a playmaker.
Yeah.
With the pass. I just don't understand that, and
Yep.
it's this game here. If you're the Thunder, you're thrilled because all right, Holmgren and Caruso, they go a combined 5 of 23, and you still win with two of your better players not having good offensive games. And Jalen Williams obviously just went ballistic though, 14 of 25 or 40 points. I mean,
Well, the key thing here though is, I mean, Wiggins plays a great game. So you have Wiggins shooting 53% from three for the series.
yes,
You have
Carson Wallace has a great game.
Lou Dort shooting 59% for the series.
Yeah,
Wallace played great last night. If those three guys are going to play well, you're going to lose.
yes, it's true. Yeah, it's
Jalen
absolutely true.
Williams last night was excellent. Hartenstein's still only averaging 20 minutes a game, but now Chet's all the way up to 31 and a half, which again, he needs to play. Hardenstein played 13 minutes the first game. I
But
mean,
you
so
talked
don't tell
about it
me.
though. We talked about it with Chet Holmgren on the floor. He's a shot blocker. He's 7 feet tall. Has three
Plus,
blocks.
he's a rebounder.
Yep,
Plus,
exactly.
he's 7 feet
Yeah,
tall. He
he had 11
leaps.
rebounds. Yep, correct. Yep.
Yep. So he's averaging 9.6 rebounds for the series. I mean, so the two biggest baskets in game four are his two offensive rebounds.
Right. He had six of
So
them. Yeah, he had
yeah,
five
so
of
he
them
gets
last
those
game.
big
Yeah.
and Shea gets the 15 straight and the big three down four, but at the same time, you know, fucking Halliburton gets mugged by Lou Dort at midcourt on the fucking pick. I mean, he gets pushed with a two-hand shove from behind,
Right.
turnover going the other way.
Yeah.
I mean, again, it's just the
We
level of
talked about it
contact.
before
It's just
this
disgusting.
series started. You said, "What's the whistle going to be like?" That's going to be determinant, and also who wins some of these games here.
Well, and the other thing is the broadcast is so one-sided. I mean, I like Doris Burke, but I mean, there's an agenda here to tell us that this is a great all-time team, and I totally disagree. It's not a
Right.
great all-time team. Let's see them do something, without getting, let's see them, make a post basket. I mean, let's see if they can defend a post player. I mean, so let's, again,
Like you said,
you're
it's
the
been,
best. You're the best of this lot.
yeah, yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, and
Houston
like,
Rockets in '94 were not a great team. Houston Rockets in '95 were not a great team. All
right,
right, they were the best of a bad lot, and
right.
so they beat Orlando Magic team that wasn't ready yet, and they beat the Knicks in the worst finals I've ever seen in my life. Won two in a row, but they weren't a great team.
Right, right. Yep.
They're
No,
just
I
not.
think it's important to put that into context. I agree. But like
Yeah,
you
they
said,
one of the
like,
all-time greats in Akeem, but not a great team.
I talked about it too on one of our last shows. I think the narrative with Shea being the MVP and the Thunder winning the championship, the NBA would like that storyline, that headline.
Well,
I
sure. And
think
then they got to
no
tell us
question.
that with 68 wins, they're one of the greatest teams. But today, no one plays hard in the regular season. And that's why you see more upsets in the playoffs these days than ever before. That's why we have a four seed from the Eastern Conference. Because back in the day, the one seed, played 78 games with their best players. Now the one seeds are playing 65 games a night. And they're resting guys, and the team that plays their guys the most, like OKC in this case, they went for it during the regular season. Them and Cleveland emptied the tank because they've never won anything. But look at the Celtics. They picked their spots all season and still won 60 plus games.
Right.
So I mean, they weren't even healthy all year. So, it's got to give them credit winning 68 games, but this is not the 67 Philadelphia Philadelphia Warriors, or this is not the 85 Lakers. It's not the 84 Celtics. Well, better than the 86 Celtics, by the way. And it's not any of those teams. So it's people get carried away with this stuff. They're not as good as those Warrior teams and as good as those Bull teams. I mean, I like OKC. It's a different mix. I love this finals, but the reffing in the last couple of games with the amount of contact is just taking away a lot of the fun. And again, I Carlisle, who I love, I just don't know why you're not trying zone here.
Yeah, we talked about OKC, their strong point not being their outside shooting. I don't know why you don't
Right.
go to that. The problem is when they get downhill and they get Shea going offensively, that's when they're the best offensively, and that's exactly what they're getting right
Sure.
now. You're looking at
Yeah,
the
Shea's shooting 47%. Yeah, but here's the funny thing. Let's look at these numbers here. Shea's shooting 30% from three for the series, and Williams is 31.6.
yeah, so exactly.
So
That's playing right into
let's
what your hand is
let's
talking
let
about. Yeah.
let's play some zone here. Let's try it. Let's give it a look. I mean, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier to handle him offensively too. That could
Less foul trouble,
exactly.
you
I
know,
just don't
and
understand
and,
that.
and then this other thing with Halliburton now getting an MRI. It's like, TJ O'Connell's playing good enough. I mean, leave him in there. He's getting downhill. He's getting to the basket. Or,
No, he honestly kept them in at Uncle Dave in this
he
game.
won them game three.
Yeah,
Game
yeah,
three,
yeah.
they're down 15-6. They're ready to get their ass blown, and he gets two or three steals under the basket. And all of a sudden, he's got them he's got them winning the game. But this series isn't over yet either,
No, it's
because
not. It's not.
I will say if the Pacers could ever find a way to get game six, which I think they'll get, game seven, anything could happen, and
It's a
people
toss
just
up
could
there. Yeah,
panic.
yep, yep. And
People
both
could
these,
people people could panic. I would say that the whistle's going to heavily favor OKC in that situation, but
no, that's
at the
kind of a
same
game where the bodies might be crashing all over the place.
Yeah, and the other thing about I just want to address the media, how shitty the media is. So everybody goes, well, he should have, they're trying to compare this to RJ3 and Kirk Cousins when RJ3 was hurt. RJ3 had a career-ending injury, which turned out to be a career-ending injury. This is not a career-ending injury. Second thing is the media would crush the crap out of Carlisle. Well, you got to let your best players play. So now they're crushing him for not taking him out. This is where the media sucks. They're all about clicks now. It's
No,
not
it's
about
very
writing
true.
a good article in the newspaper the next day where only your local press sees it. It's all about clicks.
The headline would be you got to go with the horse that got you there.
Yep,
That would be
exactly.
the
They'd
headline.
be crushing this guy no matter what. So this is what he did. And if I was him, yeah, I would have put O'Connell in just because he was playing better, regardless if he's injured or not. But at the same time, you do that today, the media makes a big deal. Oh, maybe he's leave, maybe he's unhappy. The media will start writing stories that aren't even true. Oh, he's unhappy. I mean, look at all the times the media lies to. We've seen it in politics. We'll definitely see it in sports too.
Right.
Like, oh, he's unhappy. Well, yeah, that shuts your narrative. Yeah, but of course you need a narrative, and then your unnamed sources or some other shit. Halliburton wants to leave. Well, who said that? Oh, with unnamed sources. So basically, it means it's bullshit.
Yeah, it's them
So I mean,
it's them trying to project an issue onto you. That's what they're trying to do there.
yeah, the media is just disgraceful. What they've become today. There's very few real reporters out there, and we said that in politics and sports, it's become a joke.
It is.
But
Yeah.
if you want to crush Halliburton for not playing well, have at it.
Yep.
But at the same time,
And
you can't crush.
you also can point out Benedict Mathurin though. He goes 2 of 11 with 1 turnover. I mean, you also have to
Yep,
factor that in too. You
yep,
have some
yep.
guys that play Thomas Bryant a little more. You can maybe criticize Coach Carlisle for that.
Well,
It's
Matherin's shooting 46% from both three and two. He's getting 20 minutes a night, so maybe you've got to invest a little more. Toppin's been pretty good,
I would like to see
but at
Miles Turner, Uncle Dave, get a little more field goal attempts. He only had 5. I think he's too talented
yeah,
offensively to only get 5 attempts.
problem with Miles right now is everything's a 3-pointer from the top of the key.
Right.
We're not, and again, they're going side to side. They're never going towards the basket, and it's driving you crazy. They got 7, 8 guys averaging in double figures in a series, and they're down, which is just insane. 8 guys averaging double figures got to be a record, and yet they're down in the series. Ben Shepherd is not averaging double figures, and either is Bradley obviously, but Nemhard on up, 8 guys double figures. It's insane. But they're gonna right now they're down 3 games to 2. They've lost the battle of the backboard a couple of times. In game 4 they lost the battle of the backboard. Game 5 again, they get back in that game, but they had no business being in that game. All the statistics pointed to them should have been getting blown by 30 if you look at those box scores. But then at the end of the game, the box looks even. But in the first half, they were just flat out awful, and they should have been down 25.
Yeah, I think this game 5, Uncle David, also comes down to the turnovers too. Indiana has double the amount of turnovers.
So
So
many
he
turnovers.
has
It's disgusting.
22 to 11. You got to take care of the
Yeah,
ball.
and then points off the turnovers. Look at the
Yep.
points off the turnovers.
Yep.
I mean, what was it 36-9 or 33-9? Yeah, 32-9. There's your game right there.
Yep.
And you look no further. So it's disgusting.
Right.
It's
Right.
disgusting. I mean, you're giving up easy bet, but again, they have not stopped them from getting to the basket. And so
I
since
think it's
Shea
a fair
and
it's a fair criticism of Coach Carlisle, Uncle Dave. I think at this point in the series too, it's
and I love Coach Carlisle, he's one of my favorites.
yes, he is.
But
Yeah.
in this situation, we've all had bad games. Bottom line is somebody ought to get in his ear. He got 35 assistants on the bench. Someone's got to be suggesting a zone. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers and tilt the floor the way you want to shoot it. I'll tell you what. I want to see Lou Dort and freaking, Wallace and Wiggins beat me. Go ahead. I'll tip my
Right.
cap to you. Go ahead.
Well, they would probably Coach Carlisle maybe come back and say, hey, these guys shot pretty good from 3 in this game. Dort was 3 of
Sure.
6 and
But
Wiggins
now let now
was
let's
7.
now let's let them have the
Yeah,
open shot. Like
dare him
stare
again,
it
like you
out.
said. Yeah, right, exactly.
It's
Right.
different than getting the ball reversed to you and then having a quick
It's so
shot. Now
true.
we're gonna
It's so true. Yeah, no, it's much more rhythm of a shot when, especially if it's a tap out or a second chance shot
right.
versus if you're catching it on the wing from the top of the key and you're daring
Yeah, I
to.
mean, you're a shooter, against the zone is something about it. Like, yeah, you like zones, but these guys aren't known for their shot first. So, like,
Right.
make them look at it dead in the eye. And I'll tell you what, game 7, you get a sweaty palm.
Yes.
All of a
Yeah,
sudden,
true.
you don't know what the hell happens. It's whoever makes their first one then gets going in game 7.
Right.
But the thing
Exactly.
is, like, I'm just disappointed in no zone. And we'll see if Halliburton's healthy. I'm sure he's going to play. We'll see if he's going to play. Maybe they'll rally around. If not, TJ's ready. I mean, put him in the game.
Yeah, I think obviously, depending on what Halliburton's status is, obviously that's huge for what this game 6 will be. But obviously, Tyrese, I know, will be better, and guys like Pascal, are gonna show up and be good. But you
Yeah,
know what?
Siakam's been great.
Yeah, I think also Aaron Nesmith. I mean, he had an excellent game in this game 5 too. I think he was solid for them. I mean, he 4 or 5 from 3. He's played excellent. He had 6 rebounds. I mean, he's been a
Yep.
solid player for them.
He's been in foul trouble a lot. He fouled out 2 games in a row now.
Yeah,
And
he had 5 in this last game too. Yeah.
yeah, the fact that he's getting limited to 26 minutes a game is, I don't know, he needs more than that.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. Yeah, I mean,
So I would shrink the bench here, and I'd get away from Shepard, and take Shepard's minutes, take Shepard's 11 minutes a game and divide those up and among Nemhard and Neesmith and see what you get, and O'Connell, and see if you can get some more out of these guys.
Lou Dort, he had a big three for the Thunder when Shea he drove down the lane there, but it's
Sure.
100 to
Lou
95.
Dort's
That was
like,
a big shot. Yeah.
but again, when you got those role players doing those things at home, you're not losing in the NBA Finals. It just
No,
doesn't work like that. It never has.
it's true. Yeah.
Because in the first half last night, Shea didn't really do anything, and his team's up a lot.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
So Shea has a good game, but I don't know. It wasn't really because of Shea that they won last night. I mean, last night he's 9 for 21. It's not a great
That's
game, 9 for
that's the
21.
scary thing for him. His games where he gets his 30 sometimes, it just feels like that's just, it feels like 15
Too
almost,
easy, yeah.
right? Yeah.
But he's a situation where you get the others going.
To Shea's credit too, he's not shooting
That
too many
doesn't force
threes.
it.
Yeah, exactly. He only shot 3-pointers. He didn't make any of them, but the key thing is him only attempting three. So if he gets his 31 on 10 assists and he's close to 50% shooting, that's a good night for him.
Sure. I mean,
That's
he's
what's
he's done a great
happening.
job. I mean, he's a very smooth player. I like him a lot. He's like a thinner version of D Wade in some ways, except he plays the point.
Right.
The thing is, like, the NBA is going to try to force this thing because they know the ratings are low. The ratings are low because Shea's not a big name yet, and he's not an American kid. It's like the year the Bucks beat the Suns; those ratings weren't great either. Let's be honest, though, the ratings have been going down for years since the NBA tried to get political.
Well, also we
Uh,
talked about it too. There's so many different forms of watching games now too.
yep.
So I mean,
And
it's
so
not
yeah, now they're not all counted
yeah,
in
it's
in
not
the
it's
amount
not
of
com it's
games.
not comparable to what it was, 25
Exactly.
years ago. It's just
No,
not.
it's not. And plus, like you said, you can watch it so many different ways on the internet. Is that getting counted in the view? Probably not.
Right.
So, that's part of the problem itself. But Shea's been great. He definitely is, if they win tomorrow, he's definitely the MVP unless Jalen goes for 40 again.
Right.
But let's not forget that Jalen's due one of those games where he's going to shoot like 4 for 20. So, let's see, he has one of those once in a while. So, and they're probably hoping it's tomorrow night because you don't want if you go to a game seven and he does that, you're going to give it away. But I still don't think it's over. I think OKC tomorrow night, the first 10 minutes is going to make a hard push. And if they get up tomorrow night early, I think this shit's going to wrap. But I think, if Indiana can get a solid win tomorrow night, I think game seven will be a blast. I mean, it'll be a lot of fun.
I
I'm
just
hoping for
feel
that.
I just feel Indiana knowing it's their last home game of the season here. I feel like they're not a lock because there's no
Right.
such thing as a lock at this point, but I heavily have
Right.
them favored in this one. I think we're going to have a game seven for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's going to be a lot of, I think they're going to have a good shot to win this game tomorrow night. I think their fans will definitely pick them up. And it's something that, those fans in Indiana, some of the best fans in the world. So we'll definitely see.
I think this game four though that they lost. I think that's like I said, 3-1 versus 2-2. That's just night and day right there. You're just one
Oh, yeah.
one one game away right there. And Shea has a mini 5-0 run. And like you said, one of the shots I definitely thought was a push off for sure.
Oh, definitely pushed
Uh,
off any travel.
yeah, and the other shot he hits a big 3-point shot.
Three will be the one that's remembered, though, because they're down four right there. And he hits a three. But then, like I said, Halliburton's assaulted at midcourt. Two-hand shove when you watch they show the reverse replay of it. I mean, Lou Dort just pushes him in the back and then takes it.
Yeah,
But what are you gonna do? That's the way it goes. They didn't call it. So,
and Chet also
Dort,
he had a big putback dunk to put them up
yep.
89-88. I mean, he had some key plays, offensive
Yeah, Dort
rebounds.
and
He's made some key.
the unsung hero of the series, though, is Lou Dort. Look at this guy shooting 50% from the field, 58% from three. That's Lou Dort we're talking about here.
Yeah, and we
Now you
kind
say,
of
well,
said going into this series here, that's kind of one of the guys you have to have
yeah,
make have
yeah, he was only, he's only averaging 9 points a game, but this is the best 9 points a game player in the NBA Finals you might ever see in your life because
yeah,
defensively he's
exactly.
done a great job.
No, exactly. And like you said, he just needed to make enough where you can keep him out there where he's not that
Right,
liability out there. And he's been
right.
able to play well enough.
He's been exceptional. He really has been. He's been fantastic. Got to
And
give
he's
Lou Dort credit.
yeah, and he's not a guy who's not going to take bad shots either, and he's going to rebound. So
Yeah, he knows his role, and he's a guy that appreciates the league. He's not one of these guys that had his ass kissed his whole life, so he appreciates the league, and that's what happens to these guys who aren't fawned over. They're not
yeah,
high draft picks, they're not prima donnas, and they appreciate their role in the league, and that makes a difference. Like we talked about with Knox and Okafor, they were probably praised. Okafor was definitely thought of as a god. Probably got careless and wound up out of the NBA. Now he's back.
yeah, Lou Dort's got an edge to him. He feels like a Ron Artest kind of guy to me.
Yeah, he
Right,
feels
he's
like a
just
guy
going
who
to do
thinks he
whatever.
doesn't belong there, so he wants to prove it every day.
Right, he's just going to do what it takes to get the victory. That's what he
And,
does.
and you know what? To be honest, they've always had a second guy fill in. Caruso's had two big games. Dort's had a game where he hit 5 threes and they lost, but then last night, Wallace and
Wallace and
Wiggins step
Wiggins
up.
go off. Exactly right. Yep. Nope. Like you said, it's about complementary basketball. You have to have
Yeah,
guys step up at
the
certain
others
times.
we
Yep.
talk
The
about.
others that Shaquille O'Neal has talked about. That's
Yeah,
right.
he
The
always talks
Thunder,
about the others.
the Thunder being the deep team that they are, playing 8, 9 guys some nights. That's what
Yep,
they've had. They've had just different guys step up, and it's just the mindset that some of these guys have, like Alex Caruso and the Wiggins and Wallace. They just have the
sure.
right blend. It seems like,
Yeah,
and
so Wiggins and Wallace, 25 points between the two of them. And
yeah,
see, last night Caruso wasn't good, so it doesn't matter. They fill it
right,
in.
right. But then Alex Caruso, in what was it, game two, right? He had 20 points. So it's
Right,
you have those kind of nights where a guy has that.
right. And so again, here we are. All these people in analytics and all this other crap. They win a game with 3 3-pointers. Last night, Pacers have 11, Thunder have 14, but the Thunder are shooting awful from two. But at the same time, no one's paying attention to that. The 26 to 62 from two to Thunder. They were bad. But, from the 3 point line, they shot 43%, which is excellent. And their free throw to get into the free throw line so much because Indiana won't change.
Yeah, in Indiana, you feel like they're just going to be dying on that hill right there, which is kind of not how
Yeah,
they've
well,
always.
Shea's just going to keep walking to the free throw line. You got to do something about this. Like
Well,
you
that's
can
the thing.
choose your way to die, but
You can't
Shea's
have
won all season getting
you
to the line.
you can't have him having double-digit free throw attempts too. Yeah, and getting his 10 assists and then getting
Yeah, I
31
mean,
on top of that.
yeah, he's averaging 10 attempts for the series a game. That's you can't die on that hill. You could say I'm going to go down that way, but that's just you can't let it happen because that's how he's won all year.
Right.
So I mean, I know you play man all the time, but Indiana has been mixed in zone before, and Rick Carlisle's done it in Dallas a lot. I mean, it'd be a good time to throw it out there.
I agree. It would be. I just it feels like it's OKC's series now, especially when you had
Sure,
what was it? You had where they won 111 to 104. Yeah, game four where they shoot 3 of 16 from three and they still win the game. I mean, that right
right, you
there.
win the game. That's it. That's you looking death in the face, and he still got out of there.
Yeah, those analytic nerds, like you said, you can win a game, and no one would have thought you could win in a modern day NBA game only making three point.
Look at the
You know,
Nuggets. The
3 point
Nuggets,
shots.
the Nuggets had the least amount of threes, and I think it was a 10-year span the year they won the title. So it can be done. I'm just so tired of hearing everything. So yeah, but then look at the Celtics this year. Hey, you want to shoot 63s? Go ahead. You found yourself losing. And the next night you shot 43s. All right. A little better, you lost again. So I
Right.
mean, you can do it, but if it's not going, you got to get the hell off it. I mean, that's the part that pisses you off as a fan is like people talk about how skilled this area is. Well, then they're dumb bastards, and if they're so skilled, won't they wake up?
Right.
So
Right.
obviously,
Why
it's
we?
also a skill to have something between the ears.
Yeah, it
And the
certainly is.
fact that, and the fact that nobody knows what the hell's going on, it just drives you crazy. You got to adjust. I mean, like if Larry Bird wasn't getting the three, he's going inside. Get a step back on you.
Yeah, he's gonna pump fake. He's gonna draw a foul, get to the free throw line, things
Tony
like that.
Parker, hardly ever shot threes. He used floaters. Tony Parker didn't shoot threes till the later part of his career. Go look it up. Same with Vince Carter. I mean, you make your adjustments, but guys don't want to do that. Ray Allen, in the beginning of his career, was not a 3 point shooter. He was it's like the first guy to really perfect the jump stop. He was amazing. He's a great athlete. Used to dunk on guys. Michael Redd shot the threes. I mean, you got to adjust your game. Same thing in game, not only over your career, but in game.
Yeah, I agree with you. How about this game though, Uncle Dave? This game five here. I mean, the Pacers have 20 bench points in the third quarter. I mean, usually when you get a stat like that, usually you almost are certain to win when you have production like that, especially in a quarter
Sure,
from your bench
sure,
guys.
sure.
The play
Great,
too where
great
they
quarter.
have Siakam gets on the fast break and he gets the dunk 86-92. It felt like almost the Thunder. They not that they were going to give
They
this
cut
game
it.
away, but
Remember, they cut it to two. They
yeah.
gave up an offensive rebound three and mid to five, and then they gave up a turnover dunk seven.
Well,
That's the game
Wiggins.
right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Wiggins. They
That's
get
the game right
a
there.
tap out. Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yep. That's the game right there. Seven. Now it
And
goes from
then
2 to 7.
Siakam bangs a three, and then it's 93-95. The Thunder are up two. And then Shea, he drives, and they get Williams on the reverse after they get the ball to Dort at the top of the key for a three. So you have those plays where you hit a three and
Yep.
then give up one on the other end. It just feels like that sucks the life out of you there.
Well, plus it's an offensive rebound and a turnover. So
And
again, it's the
the
turnovers.
play with Nemhart where there's a miscommunication with Halliburton and Williams gets a dunk right on the other end.
Yep.
And it's 193.
But
Yeah.
again, and look at the statistic. So the Thunder get 12 more shots. Now you can say that doesn't matter, but it does because the Thunder shot a worse percentage, but got 12 more shots and only hit two more free throws. So it makes a difference. 12 more shots.
Nope. The
Again,
more you take, the more you make, right?
yeah. If I take 100, you take 88. I'm gonna have a better chance. It's just a
Yeah,
fact of life.
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Because
So in
it's
this,
also that's not factoring in the offensive rebound potential and all that stuff and drawing fouls.
right, but people don't understand that because that's where the turnovers come in. I mean, the turnovers were disgusting. And they're bad turnovers too. They're side to side turnovers.
The thing is, with Halliburton having the game he had and the 11 plus turnovers, you feel like this. Oh God, you look at the box score; it's almost nauseating.
Yeah.
Look at that if you're a Pacer fan. But I agree with you. I think you could, you play the zone and you funnel the ball to guys and you dare them to make some shots, especially when you're at home in Indiana here. Make these guys hit some shots on the road.
Plus, it takes away Obi Toppin's ability that he can't defend off the dribble and makes Obi Toppin challenging a shot at 6'8", being able to jump like that. He's showing you how high a jumper he is, which we all knew he was.
Right.
It makes it easier for him to play.
It does, yes.
And maybe it takes away SGA and Williams' aggressiveness. You just gotta see. You never know what you get. Maybe it doesn't. But right now, they're beating you downhill like a mule. You gotta go. You're like a rented mule right now. They're getting the shit kicked out of you.
Yeah, no, it just this last game, it really was eye-popping. You had Williams and Gilgeous-Alexander going downhill and getting buckets, so that it was just the worst of every world for them in this
Well,
game.
again, Oklahoma only has four guys averaging double figures, but two of them are getting 32 and 26. So that's a big difference.
It certainly
But and again, the Pacers have had this thing where they've had some of the greatest teams of all time didn't have anybody get more than 22 a game, but at the same time, those teams are rare, and so now you know why they're rare.
sure are.
And Siakam's been great, but Siakam is getting 33 minutes a game. Halliburton's probably is actually playing the most in the series for the Pacers at 36 minutes a game. But again, only shooting 30% from three. And for Halliburton, his jump shot this playoff has been lethal. But last two games he hasn't hit it. So he's getting four turnovers a night too. That's a little bit too many.
Right. Yep. So obviously the key thing in this game six is for him to play a little bit better. Obviously, that's first
Sure.
and foremost there. And you hope your role player is able to do enough. And it's disappointing because you had some guys in this last game five here play really well. I mean, Obi Toppin was 5 of 11, McConnell was 8 of
Yep.
14.
Yep. You gotta have
Siakam
guys take care of the ball.
and Neesmith and Turner all played pretty well, and Nimhart, was pretty much his standard self there, but he could have played a little
Sure.
bit better. His
Sure.
nights he can really get going from the
Yeah.
outside. His 2 3-point shots he didn't make. So, but all in all, they played pretty well. It just was the Thunder were just in a different gear. It seemed like there,
You're
and the
giving up easy
turnovers.
baskets and you're turning the ball over. You
Yeah,
can't
the
do that.
turnover. You cannot. Exactly right. Yep. That's the problem. So we'll see what happens in this game six. Obviously, those are the key things. And like you said, I think Coach Diggett right there, going to double big, that lineup change. That's the key thing. Like I said, it was an analytic thing. They probably thought we cannot play Holmgren Hartenstein. We won't have enough shooting on the floor. But
Yeah,
like you said,
Holmgren's a better face-up player than he is a back to the basket player. That's
exactly.
a bad thought.
It's not like he's a lumbering kind of plotter.
No,
He's a guy who
no.
can get up and down the floor, and he can hit an outside shot free at times, and he's
Yep.
got a great wingspan. So, and then
Sure does.
when you add that factor in there, it's hard to score in the paint when you have Hartenstein and him rotating and blocking shots. So you're lethal defensively inside. So
And
that's the
plus,
right move.
if you're the Pacers, Holmgren right now is shooting 14% from three. Again, this just alone just makes so much sense.
Yeah,
It's just
funnel
they're
the ball
not
to
doing
him,
it.
make him hit an outside shot. Exactly.
And he's a good shooter, but let's see him only. He's still a kid.
Exactly, yeah. Now the problem is you can't have Shea getting his everything. You have him hitting, he's got his 31 points, 9 of 21 from the floor, and then 13 made free throws. You can't have that.
You got to cut the
It's
head off
just
the snake, and he's the head.
you have to either make Shea go for 60 or you got to shut out the other guys. And the problem is Shea gets his 31, but then you have, like we talked about, Wiggins 14, Wallace 11. Jalen Williams, you can't have him going for 40 on top of that. And then you have two guys 1 point away from double figures in Dorton Holmgren. So it's just,
No,
they got everything. You got to
it's
take
the
away.
others.
Yep, like you said, it's the others is certainly. But obviously, we'll be looking forward to this game. This game six here. What do we have
Yeah,
it tomorrow night? No, Thursday. Thursday.
Thursday night.
Okay. So that'll be
It's gonna be
obviously
a lot of
looking
fun.
forward to that. Figure Uncle Dave will wrap up here with a topic that will get us a good chuckle here. The Knicks have been requesting talking to coaches left and right, and
I got a cold the other day.
they've been
They
getting
called me.
they've been getting turned down left and right. Well, they might be able
Yeah,
to poach you from Eastport, but
they called me, and I told them no, and Eastport wouldn't give them permission.
so they tried Coach Finch, Coach Udoka, and they tried Coach Schneider in Atlanta, and obviously
Yeah.
Coach Finch in Minnesota and Coach Udoka in Houston. And Austin Rivers, I saw on his podcast, he brought up a great point. He's like, they had no plan here, obviously, the Knicks.
No, and this is where it's disgusting. This is disgusting. And I will say this, the New York fans are a bunch of jackasses. These people called it, we live in New York, for those of you who don't know. These people like call up every day and bitch about this man, right? So now all of a sudden they're like, man, well, you didn't have a plan. Well, I will say this though. You can be wrong and still hire another good coach because Mike Brown and Taylor Jenkins are two great coaches. Mike Brown is my favorite choice from the beginning. I'd like to see him get a shot because his team needs a defensive ass kicking. Mike Brown is good. We'll go to Van Gundy or Taylor Jenkins because Taylor Jenkins wouldn't kiss Ja's ass. So right there, he's good in my book because Ja is fucking overrated. So bottom line is both these guys would be a good hire. So you could have been wrong and still hire a good coach. And people go, well, are the fans going to get excited? I don't give a shit if the fans get excited by a hire. If you listen to the fans, the rule is you'll be sitting with the fans. That's the old quote. We don't listen to the fans. There's a reason that's why they're called fans. All right. So I don't care if you get excited by the hire or not. Pat Riley out of the broadcast booth did not excite Laker fans in 1982 either.
The
All
problem is,
right.
Uncle
So
Dave, it's the social media era now. They're reading too much into that now. You have to do what you
yeah,
think is right. You can't be worried
exactly.
about what the fans.
And Mike Brown is an excellent coach. Jenkins or Van Gundy, those three guys are the best because you're not going to get Udoka. There's no way Houston's giving that up,
Well,
and
they already
Dallas is
turned
not
it
giving
down.
away
They told
Jason
them they're
Kidd.
like, we're not giving you permission to talk to our coach. He's under
Yeah,
contract. We're not doing
yeah,
that.
and Jason Kidd is if they take Cooper Flay, he's one of the best passers in the league already, and he's a great passer himself.
You that
There's
Dallas
no way he's
situation.
walking
We
out of
talked.
there.
We talked about that. That's a potential gold mine. That job right now.
Yeah, there's no way I'm leaving that thing.
And Uncle Dave, it's definitely been confirmed now too. And you talked about it when Coach Thibodeau got fired. And it's James Dolan was the one who spearheaded the Tom
Absolutely, we
Thibodeau
talked about
coaching
that. It's
tenure. Yep.
definitely a Dolan thing. It's probably I tell you, one day we're going to find out that Isaiah Thomas didn't like him. I'm telling you. Because James Dolan has this love affair with Isaiah Thomas, even though this guy sucked at everything he's ever done except be a basketball player. He ruined the CBA. He's a terrible coach. He's a terrible, manager for the Knicks. He's just done some. He's a jackass. We know he can't stand Michael Jordan. So he's got a lot of issues, but still the best short player in my lifetime. But at the same time, this guy, I tell you, you're gonna find out one day that Isaiah and James talk because James has this thing for Isaiah. Even after you let him go, he would always consult Isaiah. Just why would Wild West give a $30 million extension and then fire the guy? There's no
Yeah.
way he would have done so. Thibodeau right now is laughing all the way to the bank.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And like you talked about too, he's also the guy who stepped in with Donnie Walsh. He didn't want Carmelo Anthony. He didn't
Correct.
want to. They didn't have to give up what they gave up for him. He could the what
Nope.
Knicks some Knicks fans wanted, which would have been fine, is Carmelo go to New Jersey at the time. And then you get him next year for a reduced price. You wouldn't have to give
Right.
up all you gave up. So it was kind of a premature move on their part to do that. So James Dolan, once again, he's just stepping in and just ruining everything, and that's kind of what happened here, I think now. And now
Well, that's the good news. He
you're
stays out of
scrambling for a
hockey.
coach now.
Yeah, he stays out of the hockey, but he likes the basketball.
And then also you had an anonymous player talking about if Coach Thibodeau was the coach next year, they didn't want to play for the team. So obviously it had to be a player with a high enough stature where that got quoted somewhere. But who knows who that player was? I have a
Yeah,
hard
it's anonymous though, so that means that you're full of shit.
Right, we have no idea. So you could take that with a grain of salt. We have no idea if that's true or not. But like you said, Uncle Dave, I remember you talking about at the time that James Dolan you thought was behind potentially Thibodeau being let go, and yeah, that's proven to be true now. Multiple sources indicate that Dolan was actively involved in the decision to fire Tom Thibodeau, with some reports suggesting he spearheaded the move. So there you go.
What a shock. We're right again.
So, we talked about it. Hey, you're not going to have the grass greener on the other side necessarily.
No.
So we shall see what happens with the Knicks. Obviously, us being in New
Yeah.
York,
I'm
anytime
hoping to get Mike Brown. That's what I want.
we think that would, yeah, I agree with you. I think that would be a good move. And,
Mike Brown did a great job. They haven't brought up Nate McMillan. I don't know why, but Mike Brown would do a great job. Taylor Jenkins would do a great job. So would Jeff Van Gundy. I don't think this search is as hard as they're making it. They just didn't have a plan, and that's the problem.
And I know some Knicks fans talked about Mike Malone, but you brought up a great point. You're like, Mike Malone's a get in your face kind of coach as well. I would not
Yeah.
be, you'd be just doing the
No.
same thing. You'd be getting a
Yeah.
same type of coach. So that right there would make
Yes. You'd be
sense.
giving up one problem for another.
Yeah, Mike Malone's a grinder too, which is part of the reason we
Yeah.
think that he got let go of Denver. Yeah,
Absolutely.
he too much of a grind your teeth kind of guy. And
Yep.
Thibodeau was obviously that, and Mike Malone's that. So that wouldn't make much sense
Sure.
either.
Sure.
So obviously we're, like you said, you had a hunch and proven to be right again, Uncle Dave. But what do you think though of the Knicks though? Is this just typical New York Knicks front office moves here where they're trying to talk to coaches that already have a spot filled?
Well, this is what happens when an owner gets too involved and springs crap on you. I mean, what are you supposed to do? At the situation, I have to change ends here, walking through here. in the podcast. I'm going into the darkness. I'm coming out of the darkness. But what happens when you have a situation where you have an owner, like I said before, who likes to leave hockey alone, but won't leave basketball alone? And so obviously he read somewhere or talked to somebody in the media that he didn't like, that they didn't like Tibbs, and Tibbs is gone. But they didn't have a plan. I think he probably sprung it on Wild West, and now Wild West looks like a jackass because he's got to go out and figure this out.
It's yeah, I don't know how with this because obviously all teams, well, some teams, not all, that let go of their coach don't necessarily know who's going to replace their coach, but it seems like prototypical Knicks fashion here that you have a situation where now this
You
is
got to have a plan,
real
though.
time. Yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
got to have a plan. I mean, unless the guy just did something awful, then you fire him, you worry about it later. But
What
that's
we're
not the
waiting on,
case.
what we talked about is Rick Brunson. What's his involvement in this? Did he have any
Right.
involvement
And
whatsoever?
is he going to be back?
That's what we want to know. Was he going to be on that staff, whoever
Yeah,
is?
is Rick Brunson going to be on the staff? That's the key. I think, if he's on the staff, something's up.
Right.
Because there's no way some new guy coming in, unless they're friends with him already, is going to want this guy on the bench next to you when his son's the best player.
Want to get one more topic in here, Uncle Dave, before we sign off for the night here. Stephen A. Smith was asked to give a one-word description on if Giannis only has his career finished with one ring. And Stephen A. Smith used the word underachiever. And Kevin Durant said the game is ruined because of that. I actually agree with Kevin Durant. I think if
Me
Giannis
too.
Giannis
Me
hunts the
too.
Super Bowl, let's say he does not win a ring ever again, that's not he's not an underachiever. This is a guy who is not taken as a number one or number two pick. He was a late first round pick, this guy. So for him to be where he is right now, if he retires today and never plays another minute of NBA
First ballot Hall of
basketball,
Fame.
yeah, if he never plays another minute of NBA basketball, he's not an underachiever. So just wanted to highlight that I think that that's an idiotic statement.
Uh,
Even
well, I think that people are reading that wrong. I don't think Stephen A means underachiever in the sense of the word, like his status is an underachiever. I think he will have underachieved for himself in the fact that he could have won more. But if we don't put more around him, then I'll go to my grave saying this: they would have won back to back if Middleton doesn't get hurt. It's not even close.
right.
They were on their way to winning back to back. Middleton breaks down. But the thing is, it's the same year that Baylor was going to win back to back, and they had three guys out, and they still could have beat Carolina that day. But it's just one of those situations. And if Giannis goes to another team and gets a ring, that'd be great too. But I don't think he's an underachiever either way. But I don't think Stephen A. meant like he's an underachiever. But for a
There's
guy
more
of
meat on
that
the bone,
talent,
you're saying. Yeah, it's not
right? For a guy
necessarily.
of that
Yeah.
talent, you'd think he'd win more than one because he is a freak. That's why they call him the freak. But
So what
at the
you're
same
saying
time,
it's not a personal referendum on him is what you're saying on that.
well, everything's personal, obviously, but the bad news is that I don't think you can, when a guy walks in the league, you say if you get one title, you're not underachiever. But I think he's saying that Giannis is even a better talent than having one, is what I think he's saying.
Right, right. I agree. Okay, yeah, I
But
could see that.
whereas
That's good context.
Dirk has one title, but you can't say Dirk's an underachiever. He had some years where they were the one seed and they lost like to the Warriors back then. But Dirk is not an underachiever. He has one title.
No, you have to look at the two dynasties he went up to, Dave. The Lakers with Kobe Bryant and Shaquille
Yeah,
O'Neal, then Tim Duncan, Tony
right,
Parker, and Manu Ginobili in their prime. I mean, that's hell to go through
right.
that. And then, by the way, then you have also in Phoenix with Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire and Sean Marion. They didn't win a championship, but they were held to deal with as well. So, I mean, the Western
Yeah,
Conference was
Clyde Drexler's not an underachiever. He has one. Dr. J has one title. He's not
right,
an
exactly.
underachiever.
Right.
Moses Malone has one title. Now, I
John
guess you
Stockton,
really
Karl Malone. I mean, those guys, they won a ton of
none.
games. Yeah.
But the thing is, like, I guess you could say, well, Dr. J and Giannis are on the same level. They're both studs, first ballot Hall of Famers. But you can't. Nobody would tell you that 30 years after he retired, no one would tell you he's an underachiever. Dr. J, because as time goes by, we forget those petty criticisms and we realize how great you are because we miss you. But back in the day, no one said in the 80s when he retired in 87, nobody said, oh, he's an underachiever because he wasn't. He won his title. Plus, he was against the Celtics and the Lakers dynasties.
Plus, Uncle Dave, a guy
Uh,
like Barry only has one championship too.
exactly. And, Wilt only has a couple. So the thing is, you have a situation where I can't say underachiever. I think he means that in a complimentary way that maybe he feels he could win more, but you got to have the right guys around you. This is not,
And we've
this is
talked
not,
about it now, how timing is everything, and guys going down with injuries at certain times.
oh,
It kills everything.
Well, look at the Orlando Magic today. We've been talking on the show. They go out and they get Bane when this move becomes final. This is a huge move. It changes the landscape of their team. He's one of the best on-ball defenders, and he can shoot. This is a win-win. Now you say, well, they give away a lot of picks. They gave away a lot of picks, but they gave away KCP's contract, which was huge.
Right.
So this is a
And they're a
great
young
move.
team right now. They're a young
Yeah, and
team,
we
so the
talked
picks
about
don't
this
matter. Yeah.
when they get Suggs back, and if they could find like a 3 and D guy, like a couple of these guys, type of guys that OKC has, like they can get their version, a lesser version of a Dort. If they could get a Wallace or a Wiggins, I mean, good God, man, they could win a title.
Yeah, they could, for
They're
sure.
they're right there.
Because
So
Banchero, he's a guy who's just getting better and better every
oh
year.
God, he's just getting better, and and don't forget, like they play defense. They're very physical. This year they had 9 games where those the three best players were on the floor. All four of their best players under contract now are all under 27. So the thing is, when you look at them, I'm just so excited for the Magic next year. I'm not a Magic fan, I'm a Banchero fan, but I'm so excited to watch them next year. And Detroit is going to make a move or two. If Detroit ever can convince Kevin Durant to come to the cold weather, you got a
Yeah.
serious problem on your hands with Detroit.
Right.
Uh, Supposedly, there's a couple of teams in the cold weather that have tried to get KD, but he's not interested. I still say he's going to wind up in Miami somehow.
Yeah, Miami or San Antonio. That's what my
But I
prediction
mean,
is right now.
when you watch this, what's going on here? And that's what we just talked about with Giannis as we segued into this. Is that so? I digress. But the thing is, it is timing. So like you look at this situation right here, and you could talk about OKC all you want, but since teams don't play the same way in the regular season that they used to. Like if you go back in the 80s, fans, do yourself a favor and look at the Lakers and the Celtics had the top 2 of the 3 records in the NBA probably every year, maybe for a 10-year stretch. That's because they're pushed every day by Magic and Bird. Today's guys don't do that. So the Warriors who have one of the best players in the league will be in the play-in game 3 times now. The Lakers and the Celtics, great teams, never in the playing game. Never. LeBron's been in the playing game. So Michael Jordan's teams are once Michael Jordan won a title, look at the Bulls records all those years they won titles. There would be no playing games for them.
No.
So my point is the best teams push to the max, whereas today it's been, especially in this playoff, the road teams win a lot. Teams don't push for that seed. They just don't do it anymore.
Yeah, you didn't have load management back then. I think that's why the
No.
team's record reflected how good they really were.
And so you had a lot of teams win these games, and 1 seeds meant 1 seeds. Go back and look at there's so much less upsets when you go from 1980 to 2000 and tell me how many times the lowest seed beat a higher seed. It just doesn't happen a lot. I can remember some, but it just doesn't happen a lot. And so the situation is now it happens all the time. So, and that's due to the fact that the regular season is treated differently. When that's just the way it is. So I'm not blaming anybody, but at the same time, Giannis's timing was bad. If Middleton doesn't get hurt, they're back to back. It's not
Right.
even close.
Right.
But now you have a problem where his team is totally fallen off around. Middleton's knee's never the same. Lopez wasn't the same this year. I mean, Lillard is the older version of Lillard. Um, you know, I mean, they still got some good parts. I don't think they're that far off because I'm telling you right now, if Lillard's healthy the whole year, they go out and they get a third guy, they're right back. I don't see what the problem is where he has to move.
No, no, no. You don't have to do that. No, it's not a desperation attempt. You could definitely put that back
Right. So,
together. No
like, for
question.
example, Neesmith is a free agent this year. Neesmith's going to command some money. Suppose you go out and you get that son of a bitch if you're
Right.
Milwaukee.
Yeah, then you steal
Not,
Indiana on top. Yeah.
not only do you get better, but you just weakened Indiana.
Right.
Now, if Detroit goes out and gets Neesmith, it's crazy. Detroit just needs some baseline depth, but or Houston goes out and gets Neesmith. Neesmith's perfect for Houston.
Yes.
He's perfect. Then again, you go out and get a guy like that. I mean, good God. I mean, like a guy like Daniel Gabbard's going to be available soon. Like you go get a guy like that who protects a rim, and you go get a good 3 and D guy. Forget it, man. These teams, I tell you, it's Giannis's window is shutting quickly, and I'm telling you right now, the top of the East is better than the top of the West. I know the West is better overall, but I'll tell you right now, everybody, I know the names are in the West. LeBron and Luka, that team doesn't have a chance. LeBron and Luka can't guard me. So the problem is, it's about defense these days in a lot of ways. And I'm telling you what, if I'm KD, I go to Houston or I go to Miami and I enjoy the weather. If not, get your ass up here to Detroit and have some fun.
Right.
I mean, like, or go play with Giannis.
Yeah, be a right.
I
Do
mean,
something about it.
think about the weak side shot blocking with those two
Oh
sons of
yeah, it'd be
bitches out there.
insane. It'd be insane. Yeah.
I mean, like to me, if I'm KD, I chase a ring right now. Obviously, I'm near the
Of
end.
course. I
Nothing wrong
think
with shit.
he's definitely pursuing that third ring right there. It separates him from those Warriors.
Sure,
He wants that
sure, but
validation.
and maybe he's thinking about quality of life. But if you go to Miami, you know Pat Riley's going to put it around you somehow. He's going to get some help, and if you could keep out of
Yes.
Bio and Hero, you're right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, no doubt.
So go do that. Go do that. But it's fascinating because the NBA is taking a page out of the NFL's book and they've made it almost like a full year-round sport. The NFL is 365. I'd say the NBA is up to like 350 right now
Yeah. Yeah.
because the NBA once July 1st comes and the free agency comes until NBA dies out in August again. From August to like October, the NBA is nowhere. But the NBA, like NFL, obviously is 365, like we just said. But the NBA has found a way in July 1st to be valuable.
Absolutely, yeah. No, things like the combine and you have,
It's amazing.
the summer leagues. I think like Cooper Flag, those games will be televised on NBA TV. People will be
Oh
all over
God, I'll be
watching
watching
those
those all
games.
night. I don't care what
Absolutely.
time of day he's playing. I don't care what time of day he's playing. I'm going. I'm
I know,
watching.
like you said, Uncle Dave, last topic, I'm going to give us one more here too. With the Memphis Grizzlies, Stephen A. Smith had another quote saying that players are avoiding Memphis because of safety concerns. Now, I mean, obviously, you've been following the NBA for quite a while, and so have I. Obviously, you longer than me because you're older. But has there ever been a situation where you've heard that players are avoiding a certain franchise because of its being a too violent of an area? And then John Moran obviously fired back that Stephen A. Smith saying, here we are in the finals, and we're talking about how Memphis is a
I
violent
think
area.
John Moran has a good. I never want to be agreeing with John Moran, but I think John Moran has a point because the NBA players don't live in Memphis. First of all,
Right.
they're living in mansions, other places, or they're living in
I was going to say
great
there's plenty of security wherever they're playing in
right.
Memphis.
And outside of Memphis is still a nice area. But the point is, yeah, is it a violent place? Absolutely. It's no more violent than DC or Chicago.
Right.
I mean, yeah, or
Right. Right.
Detroit. I mean,
Right.
you don't hear those young Detroit players worry about that. They don't live in those areas.
I
They're
know.
not in the city. They're not walking around the city.
Right. Right.
Their car pulls into the tunnel underneath the arena.
I somehow think Uncle Dave, this is Stephen A. trying to wiggle in some of his political motivations now by talking about this. Somehow
Well,
it's
he is. He
the
does
mind.
have some
Yeah.
political aspirations. I think he does.
Right.
But at the same time, like, I think he's a little crazy. I mean, Jason Williams fired back at Stephen A. Smith today about, Giannis isn't, wouldn't be a disappointment. Like you said, wouldn't be underachiever. Jason Williams went crazy on Stephen A. But Jason Williams always is a shill for the players because he's a former player.
Right.
So Jason Williams is like JJ Redick in that he'll never criticize a modern player.
Correct.
He's a little bit of a wuss. I can forgive Jason because he was a great Dookie, whereas JJ Redick is, I thought was, I hate to say this, severely overrated. But at the same time, I get it, but he always sides with the players. I guess he's maybe has some coaching aspirations or something, so he's always going to side with them.
Oh yeah, he's got the links and
But
the communications with
but
them.
right now, I swear to God, I'm not surprised if Dallas gets rid of this pick. I'm feeling something crazy going on here.
Yeah, that would be wow. That would be an eyebrow raiser. Obviously, what
Yeah,
they
but
get.
there's a lot of chatter out there. I'd say it's 50-50 right now. I'm telling
You
you,
know
there's some kooky
why
stuff going on.
I would understand that because they have a veteran team with you have Kyrie and you have Anthony Davis and Klay Thompson. Do they think a rookie could kind
Yeah.
of blend into that? You might want to say, hey, we're going to go for a ring this year or the next year or two when we're going
Go
to
get
punt on
KD, trade the first pick to
yeah,
Phoenix.
we're going to punt on the pick. I could see it happening. You know what? I would understand that, but hey, wow, that would be something. Is
Yeah,
Cooper
but
Flag just that good of a prospect where you can't pass up on him? That's what it's going to come down to.
or they talk about the BYU kid first, maybe. But the other thing is, the problem is, do you have someone to play point? Because Kyrie's not coming back till after the All-Star break.
Right.
It's like, do you have another guard that can keep you in the
And
flow
run the
until then?
show. Right. And run the show for the first 3 months of the season. Yeah.
I still think something's going on here. I don't think it's a done deal.
For per
I don't think him being
personal
the first pick is a done deal either.
Personally, I would love to see him because a coach like Jason Kidd, his mindset with Cooper Flag, I
Yep.
think that'd be just a perfect match right there.
Me too. Me
Because
too.
Coach Kidd is obviously as a player. I mean, we remember him. He was a 4D chess kind of player.
Oh my
You know,
God.
defensively, he was a mastermind too. I mean, he was a great defender, and watching him pass was like a thing of beauty. It's like watching Van Gogh
Definitely a
paint.
top five passer of all time.
Oh, absolutely incredible. I mean, his pass. I mean, for him, we would understand Uncle Dave to take the Nets to the finals twice with
Yeah.
that roster that he had. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, it's a miracle.
Keith Van Horn and Kenyon Martin,
And Kenyon Martin and Kerry Kittles at the two guard.
Jason Collins.
Yeah, Jason Collins at center. I mean, those teams had no business being in the finals. I mean, that just
They
shows
were
how
athletic
great
though,
Jason
except for
Kidd was.
Jason Collins. Those teams were athletic.
Yeah,
I'll give them that.
Richard Jefferson too. Yeah, I mean, that was a they definitely obviously.
I'm telling you, fans, go back and watch their battles with the Celtics. Epic, great
Yeah,
games,
they were.
and
Yeah,
those
early
playoff
2000s
games were
playoffs.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yep,
they certainly
unbelievable
were.
games. Just great games.
Those are
Great,
maybe
great.
some of the most underrated playoff series. Those early 2000s
Antoine
ones.
Walker. Yeah, watch Antoine Walker back then. And young Paul Pierce. That was some good basketball.
The Bucks and the 76ers had a good battle too in 2001 with Ray Allen.
Yep.
Those Bucks teams are very good as well.
Go back to the 80s and watch Bucks Sixers. Bucks could never get past the Sixers. Go back and watch. They lose to them every time, and then the Celtics would bounce the Sixers. Go back and watch, man. It's great
Yeah,
stuff.
people
Terry
forget,
Cummings,
right? In those 80s teams, Uncle Dave, the Bucks were very good back then.
Junior Bridgman, Marcus Johnson, who is the most underrated NBA player of all time. Go look him up. Junior Bridgman, Sidney Moncrief, Marcus Johnson, Terry Cummings, Bob Lanier. Studs.
Yeah, Larry Bird talked about on Dan Patrick's show years ago. He's like, people forget how good those Philadelphia and
Oh,
Milwaukee teams were.
oh. The
Yeah,
Philly teams on defense, the Philly defense was so good. It was the defense was offensive. It was so good. It was disgusting how good their defense was. Andrew Toney, freaking Mo Cheeks, Caldwell Jones,
we talked about it.
Darryl
Those
Dawkins,
those
Bobby
mid
Jones.
80s Knicks teams were pretty decent too. They were not bad,
Couldn't get a sniff.
but they were excellent teams as well. You just were in the
Yeah.
middle of just the Celtics dynasty, one of the best teams ever.
Yeah, and then what happens is, plus the Celtics dynasty's there, but the Sixers, don't forget, go to the finals 2 years in a row themselves, 82 and 83.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, you sit there and people forget, like, so the Knicks with Bernard King and the new Pistons coming up with Isaiah and Kelly Tripucka, you couldn't get a sniff. And this is what's happened maybe to Giannis now. Maybe Giannis gets stuck in this mold here where they get stuck on the vine and he can't get out.
Right.
And that can happen.
That
So,
definitely.
like, this is a real situation where you could get stuck, and that doesn't mean he's an underachiever. But look at Patrick Ewing. I mean, he's never had another great player to go with him. By the time he got older, and Spreewell was
Yeah,
there, he was too old.
Spreewell in Houston. Yeah, it was just bad timing for Patrick
Yeah, he
Ewing.
had Spree in his prime. Patrick has a ring.
No, it's true. Yeah,
Spreewell, very underrated.
that definitely hurt him right there for sure. That was
You go watch those
bad
80s
timing.
Bucks, 86ers games. They're unbelievable games.
I mean, those Bucks teams, Uncle Dave, they were winning 50, high 50 plus 60 games.
I
So
know. I
they,
remember them.
they were excellent.
Marcus Johnson was a beast.
Those teams.
Sidney Moncrief was unbelievable. Terry Cummings. Good God, it
And
was a
then
good
people
team.
forget, Uncle Dave, those mid 80s teams, those Atlanta Hawks teams were good too, with Dominique Wilkins and Spud Webb, and you had
Dan Roundfield.
who else?
Look up Dan
You
Roundfield.
had Kevin Willis on those teams. I mean, that was those Hawks teams were good in their own right as well.
Dan Roundfield and Doc Rivers.
Unbelievable. That's what
Randy Whitman.
games. Yeah.
Randy Whitman. Dan Roundfield. Doc Rivers. Of course, you got Neek. You got Tree Rollins. Those are good teams.
Human highlight reel.
Those are good teams.
Well, they certainly were.
Dan Roundfield was like Buck Williams. He'd get you like 15 points and like 12 rebounds and play great defense. And he had knee pads on his elbows and his knees.
Yeah, guys weren't sitting out with a sore knee back then, that's for sure.
Dan Roundfield's a beast. Him and Buck Williams are like the forgotten guys of the NBA. But Marcus Johnson, I'll stay this to my grave, most underrated player of all time. No one even knows who the hell that is. He won at UCLA, and then he comes in the league and gets 21, 7, and 7, shoots over 50%. No one knows who the hell he is.
And those early Nets teams, Uncle Dave in New Jersey, were pretty good too, with Buck Williams and Michael Ray Richardson and Albert
Yep.
King. You had good
Yep.
guys. Oh, but you talked about it too. Otis Birdsong.
Yeah. Yeah, Buck
Daryl
Williams is a
Dawson.
great player. Buck Williams is a very good player. And then he went to Portland and he got in the NBA Finals against the Pistons and the Bulls. Buck Williams is a good player.
That's good stuff.
Very good player.
In the offseason, we'll definitely go down these rabbit holes for sure.
Sure.
No doubt about it. All right, we'll wrap it up there, Uncle Dave. All right. Live long and prosper, folks, and may the force be with you. Enjoy game 6 on Thursday night. This could be
Go
it,
Pacers.
but obviously we're hoping for a game 7 here for Celtic reasons.